In 2016, when Mr. Mukesh Ambani announced the launch of Jio, it was an iconic year in Indian history that changed our lives forever. But while we the consumers were having the time of our life and were enjoying the newfound luxury of the internet, on the other side, that same year was a nightmare for the rest of the telecom companies. Their stock prices came crashing down, several giant companies shut down, and the telecom space itself, which once seemed extremely crowded, now seems like a deserted battlefield with only a few players left. But you know what, guys? While all these companies were going bankrupt, Airtel was the only company that stood strong all throughout this brutal telecom war. And today, it is not just surviving the Jio wave, but even went one step ahead to outperform Jio in many key areas. As of January 2021, Airtel added over 300% more wireless subscribers than Jio. In fact, as of February 2021, Airtel is the top telecom company in terms of active subscriber market share. Now, although this telecom war is just getting started, considering the state of companies like Vodafone and Idea, the question is, what is so special about this Airtel-Jio rivalry? How are they so far ahead of their competition? And most importantly, what are the business lessons that we can learn in order to apply to our business? This episode is brought to you by Money Control Pro. They've got some exciting announcements which we'll talk about at the end of the video. The answer to this question lies in one of the most powerful business strategies in the 21st century, which is called as the product service ecosystem. This is a business strategy that was pioneered by the legendary businessman Steve Jobs himself. To tell you about it, creating a product service ecosystem is a method wherein the company tries to place its products so strategically into the lifestyle of the consumer that over the due course of time, the customer ends up buying the products from the same brand or finds it extremely difficult to switch to another brand. The easiest way to understand this would be to understand how Steve Jobs created an ecosystem for Apple users. Now people, this ecosystem model of Apple primarily consists of three types of elements. The first is the entry-level products, the second are the retainers, and thirdly, we have got the upsells. And depending on your own personal requirement, you will end up with all three of them in a different way. For example, if you buy an iPhone, that's your entry-level product. Then you know what? You start using FaceTime and iMessage. That is when you are making an investment into the product in the form of chats and file sharing. And because you can't get your iMessages on Android, your habit of iMessage plus your chats act as retainers that make you cling on to Apple. Now here's where you will say, bro, why would I stick to iPhone just because of a few chats and just one app? Well, there are two reasons. First of all, chat conversations are more important to you than you think. And secondly, it is not just one app. There are multiple apps that you will invest into that will push you to stick to Apple. Some of these apps include the Apple Podcast Recommendation or Apple Fitness Plus, and even professional camera apps like Filmic Pro, etc. So depending on who you are, once you get a hang of these retainers, the upsell happens. In this case, if you've got an iPhone 10, you are more likely to buy an iPhone 13 this year. Why? Because your phone might have got outdated, but you still want to hold on to your investments, which are in the form of iMessages, fitness track, and most importantly, the habituation of the user interface. Similarly, in my case, last year I bought a MacBook Pro and then I bought a Final Cut Pro software in order to edit my videos, which costed me 25,000 rupees. Now fast forward to 1 year later, I am so used to this software and its user interface that if I make a switch to another editing software, it's going to be exhausting. Plus, I have already made a heavy investment of 25,000 rupees. Therefore, when I buy my next laptop, it is more likely to be a MacBook Pro because my retainer is Final Cut Pro, which I've already paid for. This is the most basic level of the ecosystem hold. And once this magic happens, the retainers like fitness get you to buy a smartwatch, handouts get you so habituated that you cannot live without it, and the touchpad is so crazy that it makes you practically incapable of using another touchpad at least for a week. This is the magic of the three elements of the Apple ecosystem. That's entry products, the retainers, and the upsell. And you know what, guys? If you observe very carefully about the happenings around yourself, you will notice that Jio and Airtel are no longer just telecom companies, but an entire digital ecosystem under construction, and they want to place your products and services in some of the most crucial aspects of your life. And this, my dear friends, is a billion-dollar business war that is hidden in plain sight. And here's how it works out. When you buy a Jio SIM, you don't just buy a SIM, you also get offered Jio TV. When you buy a Jio broadband connection, you'll also get a set-top box as an extended offering at a very cheap rate. And today, when you buy an MI TV, you will get a JioFi connection. So if you see, you don't just buy a product, you buy into Jio's ecosystem itself. This is how Jio is establishing its first layer of the ecosystem by easily placing its entry-level products in an easily accessible manner. And you know what, guys? The most crucial reason why Airtel survived is because Airtel realized the importance of ecosystem, and they started pivoting to building an ecosystem faster than any other player in the market. The question is, how did Airtel transition to building an ecosystem so quickly? As it turns out, Airtel had already done a phenomenal job with its existing services. Back in 2016-17, their DTH service was one of the strongest contenders in the market along with Tata Sky, with a market share swinging between 20% to 25%. Secondly, they had a very strong hold over enterprise services, and what most people don't know is that Airtel Business is their most profitable business venture that contributed to 14% of the consolidated revenue in FY21. Thirdly, Airtel was already delivering a far better service to its customers as compared to the rest of the competitors. And last and most importantly, the foundation for Airtel broadband was already laid in 2017 itself, wherein they had 21 lakh connections in place. Now, if you compare this with the rest of the competition, you will see that they were severely lagging in multiple aspects as compared to Airtel. Vodafone and Idea did not have a significant DTH presence at all. Videocon had a good DTH presence but did not do well with the mobile users. Thirdly, Tata Sky was a market leader, but Tata Docomo was a failure. And as far as BSNL is concerned, I genuinely don't know whether it did not do well or it was paralyzed intentionally to not do well. But regardless of that, this is where Airtel took some very bold steps to hit a home run. They went on a shopping spree to start acquiring smaller players like Videocon Telecommunications in 2016, Telenor and Tata Teleservices in 2017, and this gave them two major benefits. It brought them more spectrum and it prevented Jio from acquiring these companies and cornering Airtel. Secondly, in 2018, they decided to narrow their focus down to only high-value customers, and they imposed minimum recharge limit. As a result, Airtel lost 4.8 crore users in the December quarter of 2018 itself. But this ended up saving them a ton of resources and improved their profitability. And last and most importantly, they started integrating their services to build an ecosystem just like Jio. They started offering a set-top box with a broadband connection and giving exclusive access to additional services like Wink Music. And here's where the game started changing. Now listen to what I'm saying very carefully. When a company starts integrating multiple products into its ecosystem, apart from customer retention, the ecosystem strategy gives the brand three incredible superpowers. Number one, it offers multiple channels for a brand to penetrate into the lifestyle of the customers and to present entry-level products. That is, if an iPhone fails, Apple can always come back to you with a MacBook Pro. Secondly, it gives you the superpower of using the loss leader strategy, and this is a technique to sell low margin products at a loss in order to get customers to buy a high margin product. And third and most importantly, it gives you the opportunity to break into your rival's ecosystem. And guess what? This is exactly what happened during the pandemic, and Airtel used all of its superpowers in order to break into the Jio ecosystem. The question is, what the hell was so special about the pandemic? Well, as we all know, pandemic skyrocketed the demand for high-speed broadband connections because of a major lifestyle change in the consumer's life in the form of work from home and education from home. And you know what, guys? Here's what happened. Number one, Airtel used its first superpower of existing B2B enterprise clients and offered all the companies a service to provide all their employees with high-speed broadband connection. And along with it, it also spent a ton of money and rapidly partnered with local cable operators and offered them lucrative incentives to lay their lines even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And they started acquiring these broadband customers as soon as possible. Therefore, because it could not give out free SIM cards to get into a customer's lifestyle, Airtel used broadband as its alternative and positioned it as an entry-level product to get customers into the Airtel ecosystem. Secondly, when it offered the customers with broadband connections, it also came with an additional offering with something called the Airtel Extreme Setup Box, which gave you 1 month of DTH HD pack free, plus Prime Video, plus Disney Plus Hotstar, even at the base level plan. So what is Airtel doing over here? It is using its second superpower of the ecosystem strategy, that is the loss leader strategy. And last and most importantly, by executing these strategies very well, Airtel successfully placed its products even in those households which already had a Jio SIM, which means what? It has started breaking into Jio's ecosystem. And you know what, guys? In September 2020, the number of broadband subscribers grew by 95 lakh. While Reliance Jio ended up capturing 17 lakh subscribers, Airtel ended up capturing 70 lakh subscribers. Which means what? A large number of these people have also been offered a DTH service and even an Airtel SIM card. And guess what? Not so surprisingly, even in the wireless segment, Airtel is catching up very quickly, beating Jio regularly by a large margin. In fact, in January 2021, Airtel added more than 58.9 lakh wireless subscribers, whereas Jio on the other hand only added 19.5 lakh new wireless subscribers. And that is a growth rate difference of 300%. This is how Airtel is being the Trojan horse in the Jio ecosystem. And while all eyes are set on Jio, there is a chance that Airtel could actually end up doing something incredible, especially with its aggressive integration strategies like the Airtel Black. Now this begs the question, is there a chance that Airtel stock could make you a millionaire? Well, that's what brings me to the most important part of the video, and that is, what are the lessons that you need to learn from this case study, both from the investor standpoint and from the entrepreneur standpoint. But before we move on, I want to thank Money Control Pro for helping me with the research of this case study. People, most of the research that you saw in this video was taken from Money Control Pro. I've been using this Pro version for about 1 month now, and in this 1 month itself, I have received more than 230 exclusive stories which have given me actionable insights about all the 24 sectors of the stock market, along with global content from the Financial Times. The newsletters, which are specifically curated for the Pro members, are very insightful, and I especially love the big sharp portfolios and the economic calendar features. Now, when we talk about so much value, the first question that pops up is, how much is it going to cost? Well, guess what? It will cost you just 1 rupee per day for the entire year, and you can avail this special offer using the link in the description and by using the code ThinkSchool. And along with this, you will also get 10,000 rupees worth of offers and a chance to win daily prizes and a mega prize of MacBook Pro also. The only catch here is this is available only for a limited time period, and the assured surprise is available only for the ThinkSchool audience. So use the special link below to unlock these special offerings and get exclusive business content at the press of a button. Now let's talk about the lessons from this wonderful case study. Lesson number 1. In this digital world that we live in, you will more often than not find 2 types of products in the market. One is a standalone product and the other is an ecosystem product. And you already know how one is more powerful than the other. So from the business standpoint, you need to see how you can build an ecosystem of your products in order to cater to your customers, because this will eventually help you avoid a major threat from your competitors. And from the investor standpoint, you need to keep an eye on these companies and you should try and understand how these ecosystems are being created, because that's what will help you pick the winner before the public finds out. Lesson number 2. People as of now, both Airtel and Jio, they've built only entry-level products and they are both yet to have strong retainers in place. So always remember, while entry-level products give you the customers, only the retainers and upsell can drive exponential revenue growth. So keep an eye on how both these companies are building their retainers in order to upsell their products. And last and most importantly, here's a very important point that you need to think about. While Airtel is just confined to telecom, broadband and DTH, Jio seems to be building a much bigger ecosystem for itself with services like JioMart, Jio Health Club, Jio Krishi and whatnot. So the question is Jio building such a humongous ecosystem that Airtel's ecosystem products could be shattered in a jiffy? Or does it purposefully want Airtel to exist in the market in order to avoid monopoly problems? Think about it and let me know what's your take in the comment section. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.